When I was in a season of my life where we had a lot of financial debt, I was trying to do everything in my power to get rid of it, right? So we budgeted really hard to focus on using the money we were making to pay off debt, but then I started a bunch of different side hustles. One of them was custom Christmas lights. It's a job where you can get a pretty high return on your effort, but it's also a lot of work and takes a lot of effort. And so one season I was working, we were gaining ground on our debt. We were paying it off and I was excited about it, but it was just one of those weeks where I was kind of down, where I felt like I wasn't getting where I wanted to go fast enough. It was really hard work. I didn't know if anybody cared. And I honestly didn't know if I was gonna eventually reach my goal. I just felt freaking sad, a little bit down, a little bit depressed, a little bit lonely. And I was like, man, is this all worth it? How hard I'm working. And as I was wrapping up this one job, it was kind of beginning to be dusk. And so the lights were on in the house and I was cleaning up my product and I was down on my knees, picking up some trash. And all of a sudden I hear, hey, and I look over and it's this little girl, probably 8 years old. And she said, did you do this? And I said, yeah, I did. And she goes, wow, it looks really good. And I was like, oh, thank you, it means a lot. She goes, yeah, I'm really proud of you. And I was shocked in that moment, almost to tears, how much it impacted me. It just felt like I was being seen. Personally, I was like, man, is this God, right? Stepping in to my moment of kind of sadness and giving me a little wink, right? Maybe, but even if it wasn't, it was a little girl who just said, hey, I see what you're doing. I can tell you're working hard. Good job. And I was like, she doesn't know who I am. She doesn't know my background. She doesn't really care. And to this day, probably doesn't even remember that moment. But for me, it was a moment where I was like, what I'm doing matters, that I'm seen and that my hard work is paying off. So today, if you are someone who is just in a situation, whatever you're doing, wherever you're going, whatever goals you have, whatever you're working really hard on, and maybe you feel like you haven't seen a return, if you have pure intentions and you're giving your best to what you're working on, I want to tell you, I'm really proud of you. I'm really glad that you haven't given up and that you continue to take one step after the other. I know and I understand you have no idea who I am and I don't know who you are, and that you might have just accidentally stumbled onto this video or the algorithm might have somehow put it in your browser, whatever, right? But I just want to say, you're doing a good job. It can be tough out there. Sometimes life can give you a couple knocks, and the truth is sometimes we just want to stay down. We want to look for the easier path. We want to do what's comfortable. But if you're saying, no, that's not me, but you want that to be you, maybe you're like, yeah, I'm ready to give up. I want to say, don't give up. Keep moving forward. It's gonna be worth it, right? The steps that you're taking today, you're gonna reap rewards for later. Life can be hard. Sometimes you have people in your circle that aren't cheering for you. Maybe no one has said, I'm proud of you in a really long time. A, if that's the case, you need to find better people to be around. But B, let my words today be the words that you hear. I'm proud of you. You're doing good. You can keep getting better. Life doesn't always have to be hard. You don't always have to be stuck. Yeah, keep learning, keep implementing, and keep repeating that cycle, right? Figuring out different ways to make life be a little bit more peaceful, a little bit more joyful. If you wake up every day and those two emotions are absent, then make a list. Figure out what it is that's keeping you from feeling peace and joy in your life, and then every day, work really hard to make that list shorter. But in the meantime, I just want to say, you're doing a good job. And sometimes life is just hard. We see a lot of different things on there. We can compare our lives to other people on social media, on YouTube, and we can just think like, man, I'll never have it like them, or I'll never be wealthy like them, or I'll never have the job like that, or whatever it might be. I'll never have the relationships. Listen, most of that stuff isn't real. So if you can block it out and remind yourself, hey, I'm living my real life. I don't need to compare myself to some curated social media that is meant to make me feel bad about myself. And instead, I can just keep trudging along and keep implementing little practices and the right people in my life that help make me go up and to the right. Then life's gonna be a whole lot better. So ignore the comparison game. It's not worth it. Most of it's not real. Focus on you. Focus on the little ways to implement more peace and joy in your day. And don't give up. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you're working hard. I'm so glad that you're trying to be someone that's getting better in all the major areas of your life. And I'm really proud of you. And that is literally all this video is for. Just a little bit of encouragement. And I hope that it helps, because you can begin to see transformation in your life if you stick to it, right? For us, I kept doing what I was doing and eventually paid off all of our debt by all those different methods that were really hard and had moments where I wanted to give up. But I didn't. And because I didn't, I now get to reap the benefits of not owing any kind of company or any car loans or any student debt or any credit card companies, any money. And so that was my goal. And now I feel so much better going to bed at night, knowing I have the peace and joy in my finances. Again, I don't know what your goal is, but work towards it. Don't give up. My dad used to always say this saying, hey, we're gonna walk around with our shoulders back, our chin up, a spring in our step, and a smile on our face. Because we're human beings and we get to be alive for this little bit of time. And you know what helps when we're alive in that little bit of time and we're trying to do all those things is when someone else says we're doing a good job. When we get to hear some encouragement, when we get to hear someone say that they're proud of us. And so that is it. No tricks or gimmicks, nothing to sell you. I'm just letting you know that you're doing a good job. Don't give up. And I'm really proud of you. We all have it there, and I want us to get to our there, whatever our dream, goal, vision, whatever it is we want to accomplish. But in the meantime, I want us to enjoy the here while we're trying to get there. You're doing great. Don't give up. Keep going.